Hi guys, it's Django here. Today I'm going to be building a track from scratch, or at least starting a track from scratch in Reaper using some ambient guitar samples sent to me by John Tidy from the Reaper blog. John is a cool dude. He runs the Reaper blog website and Reaper blog community Facebook page and makes some really cool tutorial videos. I will be using Reaper, which is $60. The Air Instrument Expansion Pack. It's a bundle by Air Music Technology. If you've bought Expand or Hybrid when they were on sale for $1, then you can upgrade to the full suite of their plugins for $69, $70 at the moment. I think I paid $75 a couple of years ago. It's often on special. I doubt you'll ever have to pay full price for it. And although there are some little bugs and glitches with their plugins, I find there are quite a few useful things in their suite. The other thing I'll be using is Xfer Records Serum, which I paid off over a couple of years for $10 a month on Splice Sounds. I'll post links to both these deals in the video description. So with all that said, I'm actually going to delete this. We're going to start from scratch basically and pull in John's guitar samples. So here we go. There's a whole bunch. I'm going to just drag them in and say single track. So now it's going to add them all on one track. And I'll just keep this track on hand. I'll mute it, but I'll have it soloed for now. So I can go out of solo and work on the track, and I can just come back to this as a sort of scratch pad for some cool sounds. So let's have a quick listen to some of them. That's a pretty cool sound. I might use that for a riser or something. I like this one. This could be a nice intro kind of a sound. I'm going to actually color it. I've got a keyboard shortcut, a macro. You'll see here, set takes to custom color 1. Listening to those delays. Ooh, yes, I like that one. Ooh. It's also quite nice. I like that one. More happy vibes. Cool, so I'm going to start with this more melodic sounding one. So I'm going to add my custom MIDI track via keyboard shortcut. And I want to figure out what notes he's playing. So let's just get a... I might start with a piano, but I might also just start with a sound that I might actually use. I'm going to get Serum. You can see I do actually have Complete, but for the purposes of this, I'd like to stick to relatively budget plugins. And I count Serum as budget just because you can pay it off. Sounds like that might be the root note. Let's see. figured that out. That is, by the way, a C sharp. It basically seems to be C sharp minor. So let's try and make something complementary. I'm gonna, yeah, we can make a sound, why not? I'm going to put on a filter and take envelope 2 and assign it to the filter. Now it's going from 0 to 127, which means it's bipolar, but you can turn it to unipolar by pressing Alt-Shift or Command-Shift on a Mac, I think, or Option-Shift, I'm not sure. And now it makes it unipolar, so it's only going up. You can also change it in the matrix over here. Unipolar or bipolar. Cool, so now we've assigned this envelope. If I press a note, you won't hear anything changed because this is all the way up and that's all the way up. So if we change the shape of this envelope, turn down the sustain, sort of make a pluck, you hear it. I'll make it quicker and less dramatic. Getting somewhere. How about some unison? Let's detune. Some release. Getting somewhere. I wouldn't mind if it wavered a bit. So I'm going to assign in LFO 1 to the coarse pitch. And now it sounds like that. More extreme than we need. I'm going to go into the matrix. And bipolar is good for what I'm doing because we want it to go above and below the sort of center because it was centered initially. So I'm going to turn it right down to like 1. Quite extreme still. I can dial it further back with that slider. Cool. I'm going to add release to this in case I press the note quite quickly, then it'll still decay. What we could also do is create velocity on the sound. So I'm assigning the velocity to this and making it positive. So now if I hit harder, it plays louder. You'll see over here how hard I'm hitting. And you can probably hear it with the keyboard, maybe less variance. Cool. I think some reverb is in order. I'm going to be using the air reverb because I quite like how it sounds. It came with that bundle. Let's dial it. Can try some different presets. It's a preset I had for my bongos. Sounds quite nice. Maybe a longer reverb. How about an octave up? Cool. I'm going to make an empty audio track. Copy this guy. I'm going to place it on here. Now, I'm going to set this track and this track. I'm going to set the track time base to time. If I used beats, position, length, and rate, if I change the tempo, it's going to change the speed and position of the sample based on the grid. And position only, we'll treat it like a one-shot, so the start of the sample will be on the grid wherever it was before relative to the grid. And the length won't change, but I want to set it to time so that when I change the tempo, this track and this track don't change tempo. So now I'm going to tap in the tempo. Let's just listen to the sample again. So that's how I'm going to count it. It says 92 BPM. So now let's turn on the metronome. Pretty good. It's drifting out a little bit. So we could try grabbing the end, and if you hold down Control or Shift or Alt, one of them will give you that little tool. Mine has been remapped, so I can't remember the default. And then you can drag it back so that looks more in time. Cool, I like that it isn't perfectly on the grid. Turning snap back on and aligning it to the grid. I might adjust this one a little bit. So I'm going to use tab to transients. You just hit tab and it finds the nearest transient. I'm going to insert a stretch marker and maybe insert one a little earlier as well, just so that we're not affecting the timing of those. And then this one could move back a touch, so I'll do just this one onto the grid roughly. I'm just eyeballing it. Shift double click. This makes your time selection the same as your selected sample. And it sounds pretty good. So now you might notice my loop brace isn't there, even though I'm making selections or shift double clicking a sample. I've unlinked them. It's a preference, and then I have a separate button that loops my time selection. So now I've looped that section. The reason is I like to be able to do that and make edits, or turn on snap and make edits, and not have the grid follow. And this right click action that I've got, where it does a marquee and a time selection at once, this is a preference. It's also outlined in my Reaper blog videos. Cool, so now we've looped this section. Let's play in the other part. I'm going to turn, the metronome is already on. If I right click it, you'll see I've got a count in of 1 bar when I'm recording only. And I've got a shortcut for record, so you'll hear a 1 click, 1 bar count in. Cool. I'm going to extend that out so that it's the same length as the loop. First one's pretty good. Third one, it sounds a little late across the board. Or maybe I'll stretch them into place like that. I don't always want to quantize things dead on. You can obviously use quantized strength. If I want to work with swing, I have a keyboard shortcut that switches to 16ths with swing. And whatever strength is set here is, I think it's the last used setting. And then for eighths, it turns it to straight. And then quarters, I've got and 1 bar. And I think I've also got triplets, 16th triplets. So it's only really for 16ths that I often use swing. So at the moment it's set to 30%. You can see the grid moves when I adjust it. And I probably won't use a ton of it on this track. So let's leave it at 16 for now. I'm going to leave that for now. Let's call it wonky pluck. And we can call this intro riff. I'm sort of thinking slowish hip hop vibes here. What I might normally do is use drum breaks, and I do have a Splice Sounds subscription. It's $8 a month, so I could look for some breaks on there. What I might try and do, since I'm giving myself limitations here, is use one of the Air plugins called Strike. The thing is, you could probably find a bunch of breaks for free. They might not be royalty free though. They might have been grabbed out of other tracks. I personally avoid it, but you don't have to. So I'm adding Strike, Air Music Tech's acoustic drum plugin. Let us look. There's a kit that I quite like. One of the pop kits called Storyteller. But now I'm thinking dark hip hop when I listen to it, so it might not work for this application, but we can have a listen. That could be quite nice. Could be fun. So I could use the groove that it's got. By the way, I don't do any playback when I'm loading stuff in here. I have had it crash before, so I usually have playback stopped. So now on the white keys for the first couple of octaves, you have various grooves. So it'll play at the tempo. And then there are fills on the black keys. So it's a pretty cool plugin in itself. These are sort of chorus drums. And these last fills are ending fills. Cool. And then the lower octave is mutes. You can also stop a groove using this red button here. And then up here, you've got some individual sort of drum sounds, sort of a favorite kind of a kit. There are usually more sounds in the kit. If you go to, I think it's either channel 15 or 16, then you'll hear a whole bunch of others, but I'm just using CC1 because I quite like how the kit's laid out. If I go 2 octaves up on my keyboard, I should be at C at the root of that playable kit. Let me open the GUI just so you can see what I'm playing. So I'm up here. It's a standard general MIDI layout. So old Yamaha keyboards and stuff all used to have a similar sort of drum layout. Cool. I'm not so sure about the sound of this kit, to be honest, but what I generally do, instead of trying to split things out, because I've had trouble with it because these buses are sort of separate, so if you send an individual drum sound out, you'll still hear it through these sort of overheads and room and talkback buses. So it often doesn't sound as you expect it to sound when you route individual sounds out. So I tend to treat it a bit like a sampler or an old school drum break where you affect the whole thing. You can EQ things to some degree with these channel strips and add effects to them. So it's fairly versatile. The compression we were hearing is on this master page main. So I can dial it back a bit. I find it to be quite heavy-handed in a lot of the presets. That's already better. And I'm not so digging the snare sound. make it darker. The kick's a bit weedy as well. There's a way to widen the cue. I just don't remember how. It's not the scroll wheel. It's not shift and scroll. I don't know. There was a way and I was like, oh crap. Now I know. Now I forgot. I think I like that a little bit better. The snare was maybe a bit too low. Or shorter decay. It's got a lot of sizzle. Could be one of the microphones. That'll do. Let's give that a quick record. Extra bar there, isn't there? I've actually got a grid setting, similar shortcuts to in the MIDI editor to go to different grid sizes, and one of them is 4 bars. So yeah, we have an extra 9th bar here. I'm going to trim it off. Loop that. Listen to this. Maybe the snare could come up. Width. Maybe it must be bigger. So I wouldn't mind dirtying this up a bit and then layering it with some electronic drum sounds. Let's try BoogX as a send. So BoogX is by Voxengo and it is free. So I'm going to just create a track and stick BoogX on. And maybe we'll use the EQ. In fact, we can probably take out some low end. And I will send this track to it by dragging the sends button onto the new track. Ooh, it was just a random preset. I like the sound of that. That's with the bass going into the into the distortion without getting rolled off until post. I think that's a bit better though. I might also take some of that out. Another thing we could try, which is also free, is tell tube. Before, after. I tend to take the output down. Every now and then the kick rumbles quite a lot. Maybe we do that after the tube. Before both of those. What I like to do with these sounds sometimes, so that's what it sounds like on its own, is stick some reverb on it, which I know X does, but I prefer the air reverb. Let's hear how that sounds. Without, with. So let's call strike parallel distortion. Let's make these into a drum bus. So that is another custom macro I have for creating a folder. It basically saves the selection of tracks that I have and creates a folder track. It goes to the previous track before my selection, creates a new track with a specific track template, then it returns to my selection. So now these are selected, I can just drag them into the folder. Nothing special about this folder, it's just a normal track, except it's red and it's at 0 dB when my normal tracks, when I double click, are at -5 dB and have an EQ already on them. So we'll call this drums. Maybe we'll bring these guys in on the next round. So we'll have an intro. There was also a nice pad. I think it was this one. I'm just going to copy a section of it, put it on a new track. Let's make this an instrument bus. So sometimes it puts the folder in the wrong place. It's fine. I'll just drag them in and it preserves their structure, so it doesn't matter too much. Where's the new track? Right, so this is in a different key. Let's solo this guy. Cool, I think I found the notes. Let's figure out how to transpose them though. could work if I do it 2 down. So I could press F2 and change it over here, pitch adjust in semitones. But instead of sort of warping it like that, I'm just going to pitch it down, which I have a shortcut for. Let me show you what actions those are. They're basically pitching it up. They're speeding it up and pitching it up, so that the sample isn't actually being stretched. It's just being played back faster or slower. So let me find that shortcut. So I use these a lot. Item increase rate by that amount, in brackets 1 semitone, and it turns off preserve pitch. So what that does is it, basically increases, and here's one that goes down by 1 semitone. So when I press 6 increases the pitch and the play rate at once. So now it's higher up. It was there. Let's go 2 down to see if that's now in key. And I think it is. Let's see how it sounds. You hear a bit of a glitch. So I could either drag it back so that they, drag it back so that they crossfade. Or I could create little fade ins and outs like that. Turn off snap. So you can hear it, but in the mix you might not hear it. And then I can copy sections around more freely. You can try different pitches actually. Let's try 3 up. That sounds nice. That sounds very nice. So I'm going to just grab these, move them into the middle roughly, and drag them out, turn snap on. Cool, let's hear how that sounds. It feels like they're clashing a little bit. Could be that frequency there. But I'll just take out all the low end. We don't really need it. I might later crossfade them into each other and create a smooth loop, but for the sort of production process, we don't really need it to be perfect yet. It's more about creating a bit of a song structure. So let's have a listen. Shift V for volume, although I think I have it mapped to trim volume. Oops. Maybe we can use one of these fills. They're quite busy though. So we'll have to just do one ourselves. liking where this is going, let's add Serum and create some bass. So I'm going to load up basic sub patch. Take out some of the low end. So if you're listening on a laptop, you probably can't even hear that. Let's add some harmonics. Let's just give it an envelope. Let's record something in. Metronome for a count in. This could be bigger still. Instead of that, I might try multiply again. Now you hear what this plugin does. I'm going to take out some of the lows. Hertz. Let's go a bit higher. Let's go closer to 100. I'm going to turn a few things down. I'm going to turn the pluck down. I'm going to turn the drums down as well. I might just turn the whole bus down. Cool. Maybe we do like that. Still. Let's maybe copy this, send with the distortion, and let's try that. Maybe we need to send more and turn the track down. use another harmonic layer. I might need a separate machine for screen recording. So, let's hear how this sounds. Let's turn it down. How about a seventh up? Cool, I like it. Let's make one more section. Now, here's an example of where I might create another one of my MIDI custom tracks, drag it in as a nested track, and now it's going to control, just going up these 2 octaves to get to where the kit is. Now it's going to control that strike kit. So, maybe I want to ride here. Turn metronome on. Hit record. That should be enough. Oops. Sometimes you have to check your start and end points before you start repeating MIDI. Another little trick, if you right click on the piano roll, select all the notes on that lane. So I can just mute them. So that was the hi-hat. Alright, maybe we like that open hat, so we unmute one of these. Another one. Another one. Cool, let's hear that again. And also let's change the color of this clip so we know it's different from the other clip. Actually just going to grab everything and quantize it 60 something %, hit commit, and not worry about it anymore. So let's do a quick levels check. We're running a little bit hot though. So now what I might just do is turn everything down individually, since I quite like the balance of the mix so far. Let's say that one's -5. Let's make it 3 dB softer, -8. Now they should all be relatively quieter. Much better. Took a little break and I've saved the project. When I save, I tick copy all media to the project folder. And in my project settings, under media, I have put here media files. So in the project directory, it has a media files folder. And there are all the samples. So now I can actually delete the source folder that he sent me. And yeah, that is about it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Catch you again soon. Cheers.